All right, we're on.
All right.
Hello, Bill.
Hello, Alan. What's going on? Good to see you, my friend.
Same here. I'm with Bill Telepan, and we're at the Metropolitan Museum of Art.
At the Temple of Dender.
The Temple of Dender.
Right now. So we're good.
Okay,
this
so
is kind of nice.
No
my
ghosts.
new gig.
Am I going to be accosted by a ghost?
Well, if you're bad, I'm going to send you off to the mummy room. And
okay.
yes, so it's right over there.
They'll wrap me up?
They'll wrap you up, and they'll never see you again. And you'll be a famous figure at the museum. So
hey,
that's not so bad.
No, not so bad at all.
You need a
and
new
I probably
gig,
won't
right?
make more money than I'm making
Exactly.
now anyway.
Yeah.
so
You can see I'm fogging up. That's the bane of the mask for anyone who wears glasses. So,
yes, I know I wear them No, when I wear my sunglasses.
Yeah. So, but it's not so bad. I'd rather have foggy glasses than a ventilator in my mouth.
Your butt.
You know. So it's been kind of a crazy time, huh?
Yeah, it's really crazy. I don't know what's going to happen. I guess we'll find out. I was interviewed I'm supposed to be interviewing you. I was interviewed the other day.
Were you?
There were 6 of the black chefs that are in the book.
Yeah.
Not the book. And they were asking, what are you going to do? He says, well, I'm going to work on this, work on that. And then they asked me, what are you going to do? I said, I have no idea. I don't know what it's going to be. I'm a food photographer.
Yeah, well, I've been lucky because, I started working here in January after I left Oceana. And I started working for a company called Bon Appetit Management, which has a very small footprint here on the East Coast, but they do a lot of universities, like the University of Chicago and Vassar and lots of stuff. And they also do Google, LinkedIn. They do all the food service for all those tech companies out in California and pretty much across the nation. And they've done some stuff here in New York with Twitter, also LinkedIn. And so they've been hit pretty hard too, like everyone else, because a lot of those campuses have shut down completely. Google's not having employees come back until next summer. LinkedIn, I think, says they'll never come back, or Twitter, one of them said come back. So, like in all the museums that they're in, they also do the Arts Institute in Chicago, the Cleveland Museum of Art.
Something in Atlanta, is it? Marvin Woods. You know Marvin Woods?
Yeah.
He works for Bon Appetit. It must be you.
Maybe he might work. They do the Porsche experience places, which are.
Can I get a ticket?
You can get. I'll get you a ticket, which is in LA and down in Atlanta. So maybe he's doing something with them down there. I've been lucky because I've been working throughout. So, but we laid off or furloughed a lot of people who've been working with us. So, I'm gonna not do a David Burke and text people, but I'm just gonna make sure.
Leave that one out.
How are you, David? I love David Burke. So I've been working throughout. So, and then we just reopened our staff cafeteria in July 13th, and the museum just opened this past weekend on the 29th to the public. But like everyone else, we have to wait for indoor dining to feed the public. So we're serving water at hydration stations, we call them. But and we'll see what happens because we have like 7 venues we could open here to the public. And the profit margin is better in water than anything you're serving as food, right? Yeah, well, definitely the staff cafeteria because it's much cheaper. We're probably serving it. The price tag is half price of what we would serve the public. Okay. So they're getting a good deal here, and we're having a lot of fun. I'm working with Ryan Pasculo, who was the restaurant chef upstairs when we closed, but he worked with me at Telepan and helped me open Telepan Local, and was recently for the last few years at Union Square Cafe. And came to work with me when I started here. So we've been working here, and we developed a great sourdough pizza dough recipe. He's really been into making the Kaiser rolls for the bacon, egg, and cheese sandwiches and our burger rolls. What's that?
Smiling.
So, yeah.
It's hard to tell what's going on behind
you can tell when the way people smile. So you're learning how it's now with the way people's eyes are. So
yeah. And do you notice everybody looks pretty good if you don't see the whole face?
Yeah, there's a lot of great, except for my hair, which I'm going to get a haircut today. I mean, my wife's been sort of trimming my hair on and off. Me too. But I think I reached a point where it's just too insane. Although, I'm ready to put a ponytail on it. It's but I don't think I want to do that. So it's not a good look for me.
I got a call from the guy who cuts my hair. He's been cutting my hair for 35 years.
Right.
Same guy. And then we couldn't do anything, and they called me up, and I forgot that he had called and all that, and then he texted me a couple of days ago and he says, hey, are you okay? I'm back. I don't need to go back. My wife is taking care of me.
Yeah,
What do
well,
I tell him after 35 years?
I know. Well, you
Break
know,
his
I think at a certain point, like I wish, what I want to do is just get it cut to a point where I can maintain it more, you know, so my wife can sort of take care of it. So,
Yeah.
but pretty messed up the last few months, huh?
Yeah, it is, and don't know what exactly to do.
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping, you know, it's
I mean, you
sad
have a place you can always go. I mean, if they open, I mean, if things, you know,
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be hard. I mean, I think, you know, if we could get the mayor to decide to let's open up some restaurants at small capacity, I think now's a great time because then they have all that outdoor seating. They can sort of do some decent numbers, whatever they are, whatever they can be, whatever amount of outdoor space they have. But it's, you know, it's really hard to see what's going down and how we're not allowed to open up, you know.
Are they being overcautious, you think?
Well, you know, the thing is, they're being overcautious because I don't think people are being cautious enough, you know. And I think what's happening is you see a lot of people in states outside New York who have issues with wearing masks. So I think once they go out, the problem is you see people even on the street, it's like they sit down and it's like they take their mask off. And the thing is, they shouldn't take their, the waiter approaches and the mask it comes off and they're talking to somebody without it. I'm like, how could you do this now? And how could you do that to the server?
Yeah.
And so my feeling is like if they kept their mask on until food came, and if they, they had a drink and they went like, and then talked, I think, it would be fine. And I think if there's the partitions in the restaurants and people just keep their mask on for now, I think it's pretty simple.
Yeah.
We're doing that in New York and they're not doing it elsewhere, and you're seeing that's where the spikes are happening. And,
Yeah. Well,
it's you can't tell me what to do.
I was in Staples. We're gonna have to cut all this stuff out. But anyway, I was in Staples, and I don't know. There was somebody online in front of me and a couple of people in the back of the store. And the guy walks in and he has his mask down under his chin. And I said, "Excuse me, could you please pull your mask up?" And he looked at me and says, "Don't tell me what to do. You mind your own business." And then he passes me and he turns around again. He says, "You mind your own business." And I said, "I am. I'm a lot older than you. I got to be careful."
Yeah.
He pulled his mask up, and then when I was paying money, the lady looked at my account. She said, "Are you Alan?" Because there's two on my account. And I said, "Yeah." And so when I left, I said, "Thank you," to the guy. And he said, "You take care of yourself, Alan." It was really kind of cool.
No, I mean that's the thing. It's like how can anybody walk into a store without a mask on?
It's really weird, and they don't even notice or care or.
Right. I mean, I see people like out on the street. I walk to work every morning, and I'm like, people are outside without even a mask on their elbow. So you know what I mean? So you left your house without a mask, and to me that I find that kind of crazy in this time when everyone just says it's like just wear the mask so you're not blowing it out and you don't catch it.
Yeah.
It's like.
Did you hear about the one with the valve? They're no good.
I'm sure. I was curious about that. I'm sure.
I was thinking about it. I said, well, wait a minute, because I had one, and then I would go, and it comes out.
Right.
Right? And I said, well, it's going out.
So it could come in.
Well, coming in, no, it can't come in. It's got a valve. It shuts off.
Oh, I see.
But what it does is, they said, because I asked somebody about it, a doctor, and he said, well, it comes out in a stream, whatever, if you happen to have it.
Right.
It comes out a lot more concentrated.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No. Anyway, well, we'll see. I think they are being overly cautious, and I think if people would just do the right thing and wear the mask when they're talking to the staff. It's scary. I don't think I would go out myself, yet to eat like that. Because even like some of the places, the tables are too close, and and people have, it's just a weird time. Man.
Yeah, they got John Dougherty, John from Black Barn.
Yeah.
He had tables and chairs outside, and somebody complained that he wasn't conforming to the what happens.
Right.
So the police came in there and measured it, and they were at the restaurant. They were measuring 6 feet apart the table, from the edge of the table to the edge of the table. But then he said, no, it's from the back of the seat to the back of the seat.
Yeah.
And then he says, I'm just closing, because he had to get rid of some tables, and there wasn't enough to keep. They had 3 people working in the kitchen also, washing the dishes, doing everything.
Yeah.
He said, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, no, that's what has to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, and like there's some places that I walk by. There's this little cafe on Amsterdam that has more seats outside than
Then
it
they
does
have an
inside.
Yeah, I saw. They
It's
must be
crazy.
happy.
I just want to make sure it's not somebody.
Oh, important.
Yeah, that's fine. But we, I think, yeah, I don't know. It's crazy. I mean, I just wish they would do it and allow the restaurants to open. And I'm sure a lot of people would be responsible, and they're doing it pretty much everywhere else. Philly's opening soon. I think that's a huge step. I think they should allow New York. We're at good numbers, for a long time.
Yeah.
So we should give it. They should allow us to give it a try. We have 2 months of good weather left.
Yeah, although it's getting cooler than it usually does, isn't it? Doesn't it feel like it? It's supposed
Yeah,
to
but
80 degrees is average now.
But we don't have any. We didn't have any snow last year, so
No.
we might have a mild November.
We might have palm trees growing in.
We might have. Well, it's funny. As a kid, when I was a kid, I remember this so clearly. Like, we were in Florida, like in the summertime, around this time, and every afternoon we would get this rainstorm, like a thunderstorm that would last about 15 minutes to a half hour, and then it'd go away and it'd be nice again. And we're having that now. It seems like every night we have a thunderstorm for a half hour, and then it goes away.
At 6 o'clock.
At 6 o'clock, which just fucking ruins it for all the restaurants who are doing outdoor dining. You just open, so they can't get a break, man. It's just hard. So.
Well, you know what I remember? I'm a little older than you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember when we used to get snow. We used to get hurricanes.
Right.
In the city, and snowstorms where it was up to your knees, but they didn't have the sanitation department, whatever. And I remember once my father's factory was in Queens, and we couldn't get to his factory. That doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah, well, there's a lot better snow plow systems.
Yeah.
And they get, they could see a storm days away now, so they're salting the streets. Remember how, I remember this one time I was at Judson Grill and Giuliani shut down the city because there was a possible nor'easter, so we closed the restaurant. And we got maybe 4 drops of rain.
Right.
And it was
That's happened last week. It happened, didn't it? They were expecting.
No,
they didn't
Sunday.
shut anything down.
Sunday. I mean, Saturday. It was like we were supposed to barbecue at a friend's house Saturday, and we were thinking we weren't going to do it. And it was a beautiful day like today, so we ended up doing it. But so crazy stuff.
Yep, everything is crazy.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll find out.
We'll find out.
Just stay strong. Keep your kids in line. That's what I'm worried about my kids. It's all virtual.
Yeah.
In Washington, no, my daughter's not going to Washington. Cornell is my daughter, and Michigan is my son. It's all virtual classes.
Now, are they going to
Yeah,
school?
they went because they had to get out of the house.
All right, yeah.
Which is fine with me.
Yeah.
I mean, as nice as they are.
Well, my daughter's going. We're taking her back in a couple weeks, and they're all virtual too. But she's living with some friends near campus, off campus, because there's not enough. Obviously, they're for social distancing. They're having people, not as many people in the dorm. So she found the place and she's moving in at that point.
Yeah, well, I wonder how boring it's going to be. And like with my son-in-law, what are they going to do? They're in Michigan. There's nothing in the middle of Michigan. I mean,
there's nothing to do anywhere anyway. So truthfully,
I'm just hoping that he doesn't, have a party every night.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, that's the thing that's happening on campus is that kids are going to parties maskless, and there's too many of them, and so.
Brainless.
You can only tell your kid as much as, hey, don't do that, and hopefully since a lot of these kids have experience coming from New York where it's like, they're always wearing masks and all that, so that they will do that, and
they told my son said, maybe you'll have to come back if they close down. He says, I'm not coming back. I'm going to tell him that I have a very old father. And he's in the dangerous zone.
That's true, right?
And, yeah, I said, so I don't have to go back. He's trying to figure it out.
Well, maybe he'll end up staying. So. But I don't know. It'll be funny to see how it all pans out. I mean, you're seeing stuff happen now where campuses are closing, and so it's crazy. So we'll just have to see. So
shit happens.
And there's still protesting going on around, so hopefully that, my daughter goes to Chicago, which you see is huge. It's a mess, right?
Yeah.
And there's just a lot of crime now too, and I think partly because there's so many people out of jobs and they're hurting, and it's a really rough time.
Yep. Yeah. I live by Penn Station. The homeless they are the most down and out people that I've ever seen.
Yeah,
and a lot of women. I hate seeing women on the street, and they're just lying on the sidewalk. Nothing under them. They're just lying down.
Yeah. Well, luckily it's summertime, but what's going to happen in a few months when it's cold, and I think they've been putting some people up in hotels on the Upper West Side, which is good, and some people are protesting against it because there's, they're claiming a lot of these people are drug addicts and
I
are
heard that too.
living on the street. And what do you do? I mean, where do they go? And you can't. I mean, it's hard. I mean, there's people who. I mean, some of these people were probably just at the cusp. You know what I mean? Who were just making it, and they're not. And I think we have to figure out a way that people don't get thrown out of their homes now. That we can find a way to get people some money. That the $600 was helping people out. And we'll have to just see what we can do, how we could take care of these people going forward. So,
we'll find out. So, should we talk about some other stuff?
Yeah.
All right.
What other stuff you want to talk about?
Well, there's Battman from the Chef's Connection with Bill Telepan. Second time introducing us. Let's talk.
Did you not record anything?
Yeah, So this way we'll just start and I'll pick pieces from whatever. 60 seconds. Give me a list of all the major things in your career that you can remember, all the important stuff. Starting from, first of all, let's start with, what did you want to be when you were a kid? Were you a ninja or an airline pilot? Or?
I wanted to be a baseball player and a guitar player, and neither. I wasn't good at either of them.
Oh.
Although I did play in a couple of bands as a kid, and I did get to play at the CBGB.
You did?
Yeah, so I was in a band called The People, which friends of mine will laugh is a 3-piece band. The lead guitarist and singer wrote all the music. I wrote all the songs, but we wrote all the music together. And then we performed in a couple places in Jersey, and then one night he said, let's do there's an amateur night at CBGB, and I was a cook at Gotham Bar Grill at the time. This must have been like 1988, 89.
Oh, so you weren't a kid?
I was a kid. Well, I was 21, 22, 23. So I did my shift at Gotham and then went over to the CBGB and performed. And then
what'd you do? Was
bass.
your own
I was a
songs?
bass player. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So it was all original music at that
okay.
time. So it was kind of a rock, basic, good, I think, I don't know, pretty straightforward rock and roll, but with a little bit of an edge to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Do you have any recordings?
I have. I do. I had the CBGB recording. I only did 6 songs. So
all
it's
right,
fun.
we'll have to.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll be the background music.
Yeah,
on this. What do you think?
Next,
All right.
yeah. I have to find it. All right.
Okay. Did you sing? Also?
Yeah, I sang. So,
yeah?
I'm not a great singer, but I like to hear myself sing.
I hate to hear
I'm good in the shower. And then so that was that. But I started cooking pretty much when I was 15, 16 years old, and then
at a restaurant.
Yeah, and then a couple different places, but mostly I did. Ended up at a couple local sort of places, and before I decided what to do when I graduated high school, I decided to go to CIA because I was working with a couple CIA grads at one restaurant, and they encouraged me to go, and so I did. And then I, came to New York after I graduated. Worked at Gotham Bar Grill for many years.
Where were you growing up?
Sayreville, New Jersey.
Oh, Sayreville.
Yeah.
I used to live in McAfee. You know when McAfee is?
I don't know where McAfee
Was
is.
it the Playboy Hotel used to be up? By Great Gorge.
Okay, yeah. Oh, yeah, McAfee. All right, yeah, of course. Where the skiers are. And what's that place called?
It was Great Gorge, Vernon Valley.
No, Vernon Valley, and what's the Action Park?
Action Park, yeah. I was there before Action Park was there.
Yeah. So.
I was there when it was black and white TV, I think. No, it wasn't that early.
But and then so I don't know. That's the beginning. That's the early
Gotcha.
part. So.
Okay, so highlights of your career, 60 seconds, or 7.
Well, I guess the highlights of my career was opening my own restaurant.
What about before? Did you go to culinary school?
Yeah, I went to CIA,
Oh, okay.
and then I worked with Alfred Portali at Gotham first as a cook for 3 years and sous chef for 4. Worked at Bernardin pre-Eric. Actually, when Eric started, I just came back from my honeymoon, and I introduced myself and then gave my notice, because then I went to go work with Danielle at Cirque when he was there.
Okay.
And then I went back to be Alfred's sous chef at that time, and then my first chef job was a restaurant called Ansoni on the Upper West Side, which was back in 96, 97. So that was Interesting because not a lot was happening on Upper West Side then. And then I went to Judson Grill for 7 years and then opened Telepan. And that lasted almost 11. And in between we opened Telepan Local.
That was downtown.
Which was downtown. And it was very short, but a great, beautiful restaurant. We liked it. And then went to Oceana before I came here. And I was there for 3 years. So,
Gotcha. Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Short and sweet.
Short and sweet.
It seems like a long time, huh?
Well, I'm old.
Yeah, well, so much. Isn't it weird how when you get old, everything seems like so far away or so far back? You know, you can say, I did something 50 years ago.
Exactly. Well, I was saying that today's my 31st dating anniversary, my wife. So it's like 31 years. And we're like, she still looks like a kid. So, but it's kind of funny how, I'm like, gosh, 31 years ago. So,
yeah.
It's crazy.
I played the flute for 63 years, which is like, wow.
There you go.
How could that be? Shoot. Anyway.
It happens, Alan. I'll be saying someday I was cooking for 60 years, and hopefully I will be saying that at that point.
Well, no reason not. You still look pretty good,
Thanks.
Yeah.
I need a haircut, though.
That's all right.
That's all right.
That's all right. Lately, I've been looking older, I think. I look at it and go,
You haven't changed since I've known you, so that's been a while.
You ready? How about this thing? The thing is covering it up. But anyway, it's fine. I don't even care. So, okay. So, have you ever made anything that you thought was going to be great and it tasted really crappy when you finally finished? Has that ever
I'm
happened?
sure I have, but I can't remember what. Maybe those things you don't remember.
Yeah. Is that
Well, it's interesting because a lot of the stuff when you sort of think of something I don't know, but for me, I think of something in my head and can sort of taste all the flavors going into it. And I could say and I'm sure this is the same for many chefs, where it's like 95% of the time it tastes like you think it's going to taste in your head. And then the other 5% is just sort of small adjustments or maybe something you missed or didn't think about. But I think, so I don't know. Like, I'm sure there has been. I'm not saying there hasn't been, but I'm sure some things have. There are things that I put on the menu, or like I look back, when I refer to like menus of the previous year, I'll look back and I'm like, there's no way, where it's like, I loved that dish last year, and then when I'm putting it out, I'm like, there's no way I'll ever make that dish again. So, I mean, that's happened a lot, but there's also dishes where I'm like, thought of maybe or put together 25 years ago or so that I still do it, but it has evolved over the years to keep getting better. So that happens, that's happened a lot too. So, and then you just keep what I like doing is sort of doing research and thinking about other things to do that you don't like, trying things that I would never make. Like 25 years ago or 20 years ago it was like gnocchi, which is everyone makes now, but I had never made it in my life, and I was making it wrong, and then got reviewed in the New York Times. Got a really actually nice review when I was at Ansonia, but it was the one dish she hated was my gnocchi dish, and she called them leaden little nuggets. So we joke about that to this day. But the thing about it was, when I was talking to one of my guys who's like my sous chef, he goes, well, you make them wrong. And I said, what do you mean? He goes, well, you make them in the mixer. You're supposed to do by hand. I said, why didn't you fucking tell me that, 6 months ago? So, and so we started making it his way. It was like better. So I was like, well, there you go, dummy. So, but I like to try new things every once in a while and just keep growing that way, so it keeps it interesting.
Yeah.
So it could be anything, whether it's...
Do you feel... I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I'm from Brooklyn. We're breaking on it.
That's right.
Is there anything... Do you miss being more experimental here? Because you're not that much...
Well, the good thing here is that what's great about being at the museum, when I took over here, they have... we have this big, huge public cafeteria that's going to be kind of like one of these things that has different stations, and a lot of those stations are going to have food that's changing every week, whether it's on the grill or whether it's their Bon Appetit management is very plant forward also. So we'll be doing a lot of vegetarian dishes, and we were doing a lot of that for when we had the staff cafeteria. We'll be doing that when we open the public cafeteria also. We had what they wanted to do here, which was really great. I thought was very cool. Is in each. There's 3 cafes, that are in different parts of the museum. One is in the American wing, one's in the French wing, and one's near the Asian wing. So instead of just serving the same sandwich, soup, and salad in each wing, we made the Asian one an Asian restaurant. We made the American one an American restaurant. We made the French one a French restaurant. So the French one, we had baguette sandwiches, we had French onion soup, salad lyonnaise. The Asian one, we had ramen, we had cold noodles, we had sushi, we had, like very cool stuff. And in American we did things like lobster rolls, we had a pastrami sandwich, we made clam chowder. And so that was fun. And the members lounge is very sort of exclusive to members, so we made that a little fun and tasty for the ladies who lunch there. And then we had the restaurant, which I treated like Telepan, my own restaurant.
So do you change your accent when you're in a different
I
area?
do. No, I don't like to do that. That's not a good thing to do these days, Alan. So no. But that was fun. It made it really interesting and fun and ever changing. And so like especially in the staff cafeteria where we would change the menu daily, that was kind of cool, So we'd play around with a lot of different things. Something sucked, like once in a while, like I remember just like one or two dishes, just like we're never going to do that again. It's not good to do at a volume pace, something like that. But it was really interesting. So it allowed me, it pushed myself to discover different cuisines, different style of cooking, a whole new way of cooking. How do you cook really great food at a high volume? How do you, was a much higher volume than I've ever experienced. This is sort of like, so it's like, I do a lot of this work at Wellness in the Schools, which is a nonprofit that promotes healthy eating and fitness in public schools. And so, I've been doing that for like 13, 14 years now, so I know what it's like to cook for 600-700 people in an hour. So that experience and my seasonal cooking approach, which Bon Appetit Management loves, it all came sort of crashing together. And the high volume of cooking in these large restaurants, doing really high-end stuff, and it all sort of came together. And it was like, this is like, when I was offered this job, I was like, of course I'm going to take it, because there's all these fun things going on in the museum. Plus it's the Metropolitan Museum of Art. So, one of the most popular, if not the most popular restaurant museum in the world. So it's great, and it's a great company to be a part of, I think. So
nice.
And what they do. So
good for you.
Yeah, no, I listen. I'm lucky, and I hope my friends out in the restaurant industry. I'm hoping the best for them, and trying and fighting for them, and in many ways. And it's just it's just good to be here. So.
Yeah. Well, I have a lot with the black chefs, because for 2 years I was kind of out of the loop because I was traveling around the country. And a lot of them are cooking out of their apartments, and through their Instagram and their friends and their neighbors, they're doing between 40 and 60 dinners a night.
Yeah.
I don't think it's the same as working in a restaurant,
No.
but they're making a living.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. I think a lot of people, you gotta, it's the hustle, man. You gotta hustle. You gotta hustle to make the dollar, and it's just, the thing is though, what it's the numbers that employed like 300,000 people in the business, and
some crazy man.
Half of them are never going to go back to work.
There's a French chef. I did the French Master Chef book about 3 years ago, I think. Actually, it's 4 years ago now, 17. And I saw, and some of those chefs won't go back. And there was one guy, and I can't remember his name, but I wanted to do an interview with him because it'd be really interesting. He didn't want to open a restaurant anymore, and he decided he always wanted to be a long-distance truck driver. It seems a little odd. So he got a big cab with the whole apartment in the back, and he's got a refrigerator and stuff. And before he goes on the road, he makes sous vide, a lot of it, puts it in the refrigerator, eats like a king on the road.
It's interesting.
What
I'm not going to be doing that.
So a question for you: when it gets really stressful in the kitchen, what's your go-to to relieve your tension? You have something that you do? That would have, like a deep dark secret?
No, I think about that time when I was at Judson Grill yelling at a cook, and my wife was sitting, it was an open kitchen, so my wife was sitting right behind me at a business lunch, and I turned around to wave to her, like I was like, hey honey, how you doing? And she was just like, oh my God, she was just like, and I think of her when I get stressed out going through that time. So,
And it cools you down?
well, it just kind of stops me.
Oh, okay.
But I've been trying over the years not to get too intense, and the thing is, it's like, whenever there is that intensity, it's about disappointing the customer. I think is when that happens. It's not so much that if somebody does something wrong or keeps doing something wrong, it's about letting the customer down. I think I think that's what it's about, is that you want to be able to make sure that people come in and have a great time, and I think I take it personally, I always have, and especially when I was owning my restaurant, it was just like, it would just kill me if somebody just hated something.
Yeah.
And so it was more about that than the like I always say to them afterwards, like, I'm sorry, don't take it personally, I don't hate you. And most of the people I worked with who took a lot of heat from me, I loved, you know what I mean? And so, I loved working with them, but it was just be like, the moment.
So you didn't have to escape because you could just let it go after, pretty much? Or?
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't one of the, there was a couple, maybe, listen, I've been doing this a long time. So
no drinking?
No. Maybe a little after work tequila or something like that, but definitely no drugs, but thankfully.
Or maybe not. I don't know. I never did drugs, so I'm clueless as far as what it feels like.
It's a long time ago.
Yeah.
I just think that you just kind of like think about. You just gotta kind of keep it cool.
Gotcha. Did you ever have a customer that complained and you? I mean,
I have stories, Alan.
So, okay, well.
No, I don't want to. I'm not gonna.
You got a funny story? I know you once told me a funny story on the steps of Telepan, and it was about the walking when you were.
Oh, that was France. That was fun. That was just joking around.
But
I just had, we had I had one experience at Oceana because it was an open kitchen where, it was a Sunday, and I just started there, and I was working every day for like 4 months, and it was frustrating. And when we didn't do a lot of business on Sundays, but they stayed open, and so finally I thought I had this great team on, like the 3 cooks, like the 3 best cooks at the time at Oceana. I was like, thank God these guys are there today. It'll be nice and easy, and I'll just check in. And of course they fucking were like, it was like they just were terrible that day. They made so many mistakes, the 3 of them. And there's 2 things I really hate as a chef. These are like, if I had my, what do they call, points of like pet peeves.
Okay.
Don't serve rotten food or food that's old, because that just says that A, you're prepping too much and it's wasteful, and B, it means you're lazy and you don't want to do the extra prep. And 2, know your inventory, like what you order. So like if you're busy and you're going and you're like, you have 10 pieces of fish, and you start hearing a lot being ordered, you're going to have to sort of say, hey chef, how many do I have on the board? And so of course what happened was one guy was messing up royally, and the other guy's screwing up his station, and then it was just the frustration was mounting, and then finally I said to the one kid, all right, pick up 3 porgies. And he said, chef, I only have 1. I said, what do you mean you only have 1? And he's like, I have no more, I only have 1. I said, and then that's when I blew up. I was just like, this fucking order's been in for 20 minutes. I told you to count. It's not that busy. And I just kept dropping F-bomb after F-bomb after F-bomb. And finally a customer came into the kitchen and said, stop it. Stop it. I didn't come to eat at your restaurant to hear you say the F word 10 times. Stop it.
That's funny.
So that was one moment where I had to walk away and collect myself.
Did you feel bad, or
I felt terrible. I thought I was going to get fired.
Oh.
I just started. It was like 3 months into it. I'm like, they're going to fire me.
This is a good story. I like
called
this
my wife and I said, honey, I went home and I said, I get fired after this weekend. So I actually called the managing director up and told him what happened, just because I was just like, he's going to hear about it, so why not tell him about it from me? And it was fine. So yeah, I mean, listen,
Did he think it was funny? Kind of?
I'm sure now he thinks it's funny, but I don't know if he thought of it then. So I was lucky that I survived and stayed there 3 years. So it was a great place to work, and I was fortunate enough to land there after closing my restaurant, which was very difficult. and expensive, and so it was great to be able to work with them. So,
Yeah. Oh, I liked it. It was a nice restaurant. I
Oh,
liked
it's
the kitchen.
great. It's a
Kitchen
great
was-
kitchen. Was fantastic.
Yeah.
Man. I loved that kitchen so much.
It takes up a lot of space, though, didn't it? It was it bigger
It was a
than?
huge.
No, I mean,
no, it was a huge restaurant. I mean, it needed it. I mean, there was every nook of it was used. There was no real wasted space. I mean, it was just a great kitchen, and yeah, to work there. I mean, I thought I would never work in a bigger kitchen until now. I work here, and this is a big kitchen too. I mean, we have a room that's refrigerated where people make sandwiches and things like that, and the salad. So, I mean, that's 2 of them actually. So it's kind of insane. So it's pretty big. So.
All right. So what do you want to do before you drop dead? Anything you have that you'd like to get accomplished? Can I say drop dead? I guess it's okay.
I guess yeah, it's okay.
I haven't used that yet.
No, I mean, I just, I feel like I've done a lot. I mean, and I feel very grateful for everything I've gotten because, I feel like, I don't know what I've done a lot. I've owned a restaurant. I've, developed a restaurant. I've worked in many great restaurants. I've traveled a lot on some, to do, whether it's with working or cooking places, so that's always been great. So I just I just want to be able to I just want to be able to go on vacation a couple times a year. Keep working. I like doing that. I like working, cooking, and staying healthy. So as best as I can. So there's really not much to conquer.
Gotcha.
In my eyes.
Okay.
It's
understandable and good. And sometimes just
hopefully
get tired of conquering and just
be around till
Yeah.
there's a point where I'm not wearing a mask and fogging up my glasses.
Right. So what do you do for fun? Do you have something? You play the bass?
No, I don't actually play anymore. I actually, I like working out a lot to
Yeah?
get some time. I like hiking, so when I get a chance to go hiking, I do. Kind of simple. I like cooking at home, and yeah.
Okay. And do you have a car that you wish you had or had once?
I wish I had a car. No.
You wish you had a car, period.
So I wish I had a car. Period.
Oh,
So,
okay.
yeah, I don't own a car.
I haven't had one for 30 years, I think.
Yeah, I haven't owned one since 1990 myself. So yeah.
Ah, maybe yours is the same place mine was.
Yeah.
Or is
It's
still.
probably still there. So. Cool.
Is there anything that?
No, actually, yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. We're good.
Good. All right.
I'm happy.
All right, good.
I'm smiling under my mask.
All right, good. No, I got to get back to getting
Yeah,
it,
thanks
get
for
out of
taking
here.
the
So
time.
yeah, no, it's fun. Thanks for having me.